I just walked through the actual gates of Winterfell, and I cannot feel my legs. The one show that turned into a place where millions of people sob on a Sunday night. I have been here for 4 minutes, and I already feel things I am not prepared to feel. Winter isn't coming. Winter is already here. It never left. Did you know the Winterfell exterior was filmed at Castle Ward, a real Anglo-Saxon estate in County Down, Northern Ireland, built in 1760. It stood quietly for over 200 years before Game of Thrones turned it into the most emotionally loaded castle on Earth. The estate still runs official GOT experiences today, including a chance to fire a bow in the actual courtyard. This courtyard has seen more drama than most soap operas, and it started with children and arrows. This is the exact spot where Arya Stark outshot her brothers, at age 11, in front of everyone, with zero apologies. Ned and Catelyn Stark stood here, and years later, so did Sansa, after she'd burned every version of herself down to survive. Did you know Sophie Turner kept Sansa's final costume from the show? Overlooking Winterfell as its rightful ruler was the scene she had been building toward since her very first audition. She was 13 years old at that audition. She played Sansa for 10 years, and it ends here, on this balcony. A 14-year-old girl walked into this hall, looked every Lord of the North in the eye, and made them all feel genuinely ashamed of themselves. Did you know Bella Ramsey, who played Lyanna Mormont, was cast from an open audition at age 11, had zero professional acting experience, and delivered the King in the North speech in a single take on the day of filming? This is also where Littlefinger finally ran out of road. Peter Baelish, Lord of Chaos, ended right here in the Stark family hall by the youngest Stark. Arya didn't just kill Littlefinger, she closed the loop. In this room, the North remembers. It truly does. Everything. Every war, every dragon, every death in Game of Thrones, all of it traces back to what happened in this tiny room. Catelyn Stark held that dagger bare-handed to save Bran's life. She didn't know what it was. She didn't know where it would end up. She just grabbed the blade with her bare hands and didn't let go. I'm sorry, but Catelyn Stark did not get enough credit for anything she ever did, and I will be saying this forever. One dagger, 8 seasons, and it ends in Arya's hand. The answer to the biggest mystery in Game of Thrones was buried down here since episode 1, and nobody noticed for 6 years. The secret buried in this crypt, right here, was the idea that started everything else. Robert Baratheon comes down here in the very first episode, a king, alone, paying respects to a dead woman, and the show frames it as simple grief. But it was never simple. It was always a clue. Before the Red Wedding, before Ned's death, before dragons, the identity of one boy in these crypts was the seed from which the entire world of Ice and Fire grew. The production team said this tree was too peaceful for what they needed to film here. Think about what that means. Did you know the heart tree in the Godswood is a real 200-year-old yew tree at Castle Ward? The production team spent 3 weeks hand-attaching artificial blood-red leaves to its branches. The usual green leaves were too alive and peaceful for the weight. A tree that had been growing for 2 centuries, deemed not sorrowful enough. This is where Sansa was married to Ramsay Bolton, in her family's most sacred space, with the old gods watching and doing nothing. I used to be angry about that scene. I am still angry about that scene. But here's the thing about the Godswood and the old gods. The old gods didn't forget Sansa. They just had a longer plan than we did. This tree has been watching the whole time. One man said 4 words at the top of this tower. Those 4 words started every single thing that happened for 8 seasons. Did you know the Broken Tower scene, Jaime pushing Bran, was the moment that almost killed Game of Thrones before it started? The original pilot was so badly received by test audiences that HBO ordered a near-complete reshoot. Almost every scene was recast or rewritten, but the Broken Tower scene survived every cut, every reshoot, every note. It was the one scene the showrunners refused to touch because they knew, if you cut this, you lose the whole story. Did you know Castle Ward receives over 100,000 Game of Thrones visitors every single year? Even now, years after the finale, Northern Ireland's tourism board credits Game of Thrones with transforming the entire region's economy. Winterfell didn't end when the show ended. It just keeps going. Because some stories don't finish. They just change shape. Because some places get into you and don't leave. Winterfell got into me. The North remembers, and so now I do. If you made it here with me, thank you. Genuinely, drop a comment. Which location hit you the hardest? And if you want to keep traveling through the places that shaped everything, you know what to do. Click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. This is Timeline Cameron. I'll see you in the next era.